Well, hello, you stylish cats and kittens. Meow. And welcome back to Center Stage, your weekly destination for everything groovy on the stage. And today we are putting on our brightest colors and plunging headfirst into swinging 60s London. We're talking about What's New Pussycat, the hilarious high-energy jukebox musical that takes an 18th century novel and gives it the ultimate Tom Jones soundtrack. It's Fielding meets fashion, miniskirts, and the most unforgettable voice in rock. What's New Pussycat is a jukebox musical with the songs of Welsh singer Sir Tom Jones and a book by Joe DiPietro. Now, based on Henry Fielding's 1749 novel, The History of Tom Jones, the Foundling, with the setting updated to the 1960s in London, the musical itself follows the journey of Tom Jones, not the singer, but the character. A charming but wildly naive young man who arrives in London seeking fame and love. Now, Tom is desperately in love with Mary Western, a talented and ambitious young woman who is in the capital to launch her career as a cutting-edge fashion designer. Well, Tom's romantic quest is constantly complicated by his irresistible charm, which attracts a series of chaotic and flamboyant characters, including the wealthy and seductive older woman, Lady Ballaston. Now, Tom must navigate the swinging party scene in his own philandering tendencies and jealous rivals. The result is a visually spectacular, fast-paced comedy about love, lust, and the chaotic pursuit of dreams during a revolutionary cultural moment. Now, the creative team behind What's New Pussycat took a very specific and bold direction in adapting Henry Fielding's sprawling 18th century novel. Their primary direction was to use the novel's structure as a framework for a high-energy 1960s pop fantasia, leading to specific narrative and structural challenges. Now, the core creative direction was driven by a single vision: transplant the 18th century structure into the 1960s and inject it with Tom Jones's music. And look, on paper, the creative vision for What's New Pussycat sounds incredibly simple. Just take a sprawling 18th century masterpiece and make it psychedelic. They probably pitched it with the confidence of someone saying, "We're going to put Andrew Lloyd Webber music to a series of cryptic, old, and highly complex poetry verses. What could possibly go wrong?" Well, spoiler alert, everything. Because as the creators of the infamously complex musical Cats learned, sometimes the easiest sounding conceptual elevator pitch turns into the most baffling decade-long challenge to execute. What's New Pussycat took a giant plot and added big hair. Cats took a bunch of poems and added spandex and sociological subtext. Both require genius, and both look deceptively simple at the start. Now, swapping the 18th century setting for the visual and musical energy of swinging London in the mid-1960s, that solved the problem of making a centuries-old story feel modern and relevant. It allowed the design team to utilize psychedelic colors, pop art aesthetics, and miniskirts, all while giving a natural context for the powerful pop hits of Tom Jones. Now, updating the female characters from Fielding's novel, which features women largely defined by their pursuit of or reaction to Tom, into fully modern, ambitious women, wasn't easy. The heroine, Mary Western, is transformed from a passive love interest into a proactive, aspiring fashion designer who is seeking her own fame in London. This grounds the show in the era's spirit of liberation and gives the story a much-needed second engine behind Tom's romantic pursuits. Finally, using Tom Jones's songs not just as fun additions, but as internal monologues or narrative propulsion meant that songs like It's Not Unusual or Delilah are used to comment on Tom's impulsive behavior, Mary's frustration, or the general hedonistic atmosphere of the time. This structure helped bridge the gap between the novel's complex plot and the demands of a modern jukebox musical. So far, it sounded like it could work. However, the directional choice to mash up a massive 18th century novel where the 1960s soundtrack created several significant hurdles. Fielding's novel is famously long, episodic, and features dozens of characters. Transferring this plot structure risked making the musical feel overstuffed and confusing. The creative team, especially book writer Joe DiPietro, had to heavily pare down the character count and focus only on Tom, Mary, Lady Ballaston, and their immediate associates. Ultimately, they maintained the spirit of Tom's constant misadventure but streamlined the events dramatically. The most common hurdle for any jukebox musical is making the songs feel organic to the plot, rather than interrupting it. Well, in this case, the songs have a distinct 1960s-70s sound, while the plot is inherently theatrical and novelistic. Director Luke Shepard, known for the highly stylized And Juliet musical, used a fast, high-energy pace and a highly stylized aesthetic to create a world where singing Tom Jones hits in the middle of a chase scene felt like the natural order of things. Now, because the musical uses the songs of Tom Jones, there's a constant temptation for the lead actor to simply impersonate the legendary singer. Well, to help with this notion, the production aimed for the actors to embody the spirit and energy of the era and the songs, rather than replicate Tom Jones's vocal style, similar to, I would say, maybe how Mamma Mia approaches ABBA's music. The music is an homage, not a tribute concert. Well, by October of 2021, What's New Pussycat would have its world premiere limited run production at the Birmingham Repertory Theatre, starring British actor, singer, and dancer Ashley Campbell, Welsh television actress Melanie Walters, and future Olivier Award winner Tom Francis. Now, for the world premiere, the team went all in on the 1960s aesthetic. Set and costume designer John Bosser created a world saturated in psychedelic colors, pop art, and high contrast graphic imagery. The design was deliberately over the top to capture the visual sensory overload of the swinging 60s and as a seamless backdrop for the songs of Tom Jones. The production was overwhelmingly praised for its sheer energy, incredible vocals, and spectacular choreography. Critics also agreed that the cast was outstanding, particularly in handling the demanding, continuous rock and roll pace of the show. However, the main critical point of contention was the book itself. The complexity of adapting Fielding's massive episodic novel led some critics to find the plot overly frenetic and sprawling, with some character relationships feeling underdeveloped amid the chaos. In essence, though, the Birmingham run successfully proved that the concept was a visual and musical hit. Well, despite being nominated for 2 What's on Stage awards, What's New Pussycat did not immediately transfer to the West End or announce a major tour. Unlike many high-profile productions, the show did not announce an immediate transfer to London's West End. This usually indicates that the creative team felt the show required significant changes and further development before tackling the highly competitive London market. In my own opinion, a very smart move. The production did enter, though, a period of development and reassessment. The critical feedback, which was overwhelmingly positive about the cast, energy, and design, but mixed on the script's chaotic plotting, likely prompted the creators to focus on streamlining the book. Now, while no new production dates have been announced since the Birmingham premiere, the show is actually not officially closed or abandoned. Musicals with major creative teams and strong intellectual property are often held in development, waiting for script fixes, the right theater, and the perfect time to relaunch. The show is currently on hiatus from live performance, actively seeking a path back to the stage, most likely with a tighter script, for a future West End engagement or a subsequent UK tour. Now, there are some key factors to consider here. A massive, visually spectacular show like this requires a large West End house with the right schedule availability. Transferring too quickly, however, without a streamlined script could be a costly mistake. The producers are waiting for the right financial backing and the perfect slot in a large London theater, likely aiming for a 2027 season opening once the script is reworked. Look, the foundation It's solid. The show has a proven dynamic creative team and a beloved commercially viable catalog of songs that generated great audience buzz. The production has all the ingredients for a smash hit. It just needs the narrative engine to run as smoothly as the vocal performances. Now, if you're an industry professional, meaning an investor, a writer, an artist, etc., or just a passionate fan, I urge you seriously to continue to share positive memories and reviews of the Birmingham production on social media. Tag the original production company and its creators. As we already know, positive, continued audience buzz is crucial proof of concept. Follow the principal creatives, director Luke Shepard, writer Joe DiPietro, and the main producers. Any news about workshops, readings, or new funding will likely be announced through their channels first. Now, if you're an investor, reach out directly to the production company. They often list their lead producers on the original program. Shows in development actively seeking new funding during refinement periods. And if you're a writer or dramaturg, offer formal, objective feedback to the producers. A fresh perspective on a script is always valuable during development. Finally, all I can say is new musicals often hold private, low-key workshops or stage readings in London or New York to test script changes. News of a workshop is the strongest indicator that a return to the stage is imminent. Now, the musical is very much in the cocoon stage right now. The hardest but most necessary part of the process for a large-scale new show. But trust me, 90% of cocooned musicals do lead to re-emerges, which inevitably this show will. It won't just be an entertaining show, it will be the final butterfly moment. A production that has found its wings, flying to a packed West End house, ready to deliver that streamlined, spectacular, and unforgettable magic we knew it had all along. And guys, this is our short deep dive into the colorful, chaotic world of What's New Pussycat. Look, the plot might be a little messy, and the pace might leave you breathless, but this musical does exactly what it set out to do. It gives you a sensational, uninhibited good time. The talent of that original Birmingham cast, the electric design, and the sheer power of those songs elevate it beyond a simple adaptation. This show proved that the high-energy conceptual jukebox musical is alive and well. It just needs that little bit of cocoon time to find its streamlined final form. Guys, as we sign off, remember that feeling the music gives you. That feeling of anticipation, of knowing exactly what's coming and loving it anyway. When this show does return to the stage, whether in London or on tour, it won't be a surprise. It won't even be a shock. We'll know it's back and we'll be ready for it because, well, it's not unusual. Guys, thank you for joining us right here on Center Stage. Take care.